think it should be recording. So yeah, put this up. Hello, my name is Joseph Newton. I'm doing an analysis on the data given in the Tableau project. And the first sheet I made was the department, or the profit by department. This, as you can see, includes a filter for each year. This sheet shows the profit ratio of each region in each department. I made this to see which department is the most profitable and least profitable. The most is clearly the hair care department, followed by the body and soaps department, and the least profitable department is the lotions department. However, I didn't recommend to the company that they drop this department because their products complement each other so well, so there's no such thing as bad profit. I also wanted to see if there's a correlation between the year and the profit, which is why I put the year filter, and I didn't notice anything significant aside from which departments make the most profit. The year didn't have much to do with it though. And then my second sheet shows the profit by state with a filter for each region, so there's not all 50 states up there all the time. And this was easily the most telling, as certain states were outliers who had much more profit than other states. This was the main catalyst behind me making my next sheet, which is you're gonna see profit by zip code. But there were certain states like Florida, New York, Texas, and Pennsylvania, which had significantly more profit than all the other states, which makes me recommend that they try to take advantage of their popularity of those products in those states. The opposite goes for states like Maine, Washington, D.C., South Dakota. There were more, but certain states had almost no sales, a lot of them actually. And that brings me to my third sheet, because I figured once I noticed that geographically certain areas had a lot more sales, I wanted to dive deeper to see if there were certain zip codes within each state that had a lot more sales than others. And there obviously are, as you can see. There's like 6 in a row here with like almost nothing in Texas. And despite the fact that Texas made up most or a lot of their sales, which makes me recommend that they market and sell their products in certain areas and are mindful of the fact that certain areas sell almost nothing. Then that brings me to my map. I wanted to have a better visual of which areas geographically generate the most revenue. And as you can see, the darker ones are the most sales, like Texas, California, Pennsylvania, I can't find Pennsylvania, and New York. And my next sheet is a dashboard, which connects the state and department profit. The dashboard allows me to dive further into where the company makes the most of its profit. It allows me to not only filter out the region in both charts, but also the year, since I included that filter in the department sheet. Using the data on the bottom, which shows me which regions have the most profit per department, I can then see which states among each region generate the most revenue. That brings me to my story, which really just is the same thing as I've just said. It just ties everything together, and sorry, I'm zoning out. It just ties everything together, and it's literally everything I just went over. But it's interesting the way these all tie together. Like the first sheet, profit by department, shows the profit in each department among each region. This allows me to see which products were most popular in general, as well as in each specific area. I noticed the hair care department, for example, generated the most profit. However, the products complement each other. So again, I don't recommend to drop any of them. And then my second sheet, which was I would say the most telling, showed that certain areas had generated a lot more revenue than others, which then made me dive deeper into the zip code. Um, and I wanted to use my map to show that same correlation. And then um, the map also included a filter for each region and labels showing the exact amount of profit per state, which was very useful. The dashboard I made, as I said earlier, showed the first and second sheet since they tied together so well. And it can not only show profit by department and state, but how well and amount the states and regions sell the specific products from each department. My story obviously includes all the sheets as well as my map. I learned a lot of stuff about Tableau. It's a very useful tool, and not only is it a very useful tool to analyze the data, but it's probably the best tool I've used in terms of displaying the data and various maps and a bunch of other tools you can use on here. um, it's very complex, as I just said, and the more I used Tableau, the more I found other ways to make it even more useful. It was almost like exponentially useful. Like the more you use it, the more useful it is. And there's many different tools like sheets, dashboards, stories, which can all well, tell a story about data, which I just did about this company's data. Thank you for listening.